At the day to go, at the day I breathe. At the times we come, at the times we just try to go ahead, which I called survival. Okay. Today is already July 1st. We are near of the Independence Day of US. Will be some celebration because of the reason of it gotta be Independence Day still today. And as the Independence Day also in Israel and also in every country, every state, which the meaning will be real independence at the reason of not only being a nation but also having the freedom to be such a nation and having the right moment to making the right ways for as a nation to be respected. The ways we go, the ways we do. The problem is which to be a nation, and like we suffer from Argentina, which to be abomination. Abomin, right? Nation or abomination. Okay. Further this. Let's put in the I know about Hashem, which held servants, a lot victims, most abducted, and understanding God for words same, and the responsible demons. What I called the grand whore, but not my criteria or criterias, like Mercader's, the generation, quacks, abomination, officialism planet, Argentina, Cuerpo Médico Forense planet, Argentina, Legistes of Atabacta planet, Argentina, Sodoma planet, Argentina. On the it's just a medical opinion, just a criteria. Anybody else's can say different. The problem is that anybody else's of them planet of shit says the same, right? Okay. Abomination is right stamped forever. Shalom. It's great. I love it. Well. The point of this is like a grand whore gives on a, oh, what you said goes back. You know, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Sorry, my histrionic on the day. We don't have no much to laugh, but some smiling at the day, making ironic, and even some kind of cynicism sometimes can help you to survive it. I'm not saying to be the heel here, I'm not saying to be the best ever to doing, but at the right measures, it can really help you for the forwarding in that very day that you will never have no strength and not really willing to keep on. Okay. Sorry, I'm still with this weird cough. My God. All right. The what this came about what I just said. The cultural, and listen to me please, I am not wanting to make him feel like nothing, like don't have to be about people like normally culturally, perhaps took some around and had some around. The ways that I said victims are not for the putting under trials, under judgment, under destruction. A victim is a victim. What's the justice if we condemnate victims? ADONAI is not an etika, but not event to mach at mishtov. Another word. So suddenly, in the reality of being just is making justice, and justice is the name of the high letters. It just says we are going to do the right thing, and we are going to understand what is the right and what is the wrong, where is the evil, where is the good, where is the criminal, and where is the victim, or as well the one that makes right. Okay? So when they proceed as the right justice, we try to find out where the board, every piece, every actor, every reality, every truth, and over it all, the execution for the forwarding at the right, which justice means. The author of it, ADONAI Hashem YAHWEH. Sehlá. So suddenly, at the point of this whole that we go through, there comes an honest point to clarify. And clarifying to saying about this, victims and people that recurrently as culturally you took this, that's not for you. Ain't for you, nothing like I'm gonna say. Suddenly the point of, when you send me, goes back. I'm gonna tell you what goes back. The white and black wedge tell is not exactly the There are people that try to make it good, and even at the wrong ways, try to supporting to making some good. But even trying to making some good, much of times there is making wrong. But at the point of grand war, the hocus pocus, I make the fight against the evil and the evil comes to fight me, and whatever to send me like a boomerang. Ain't no boomerangs in life. There is the reality of what you produce, you seed, and you but the thing is, the is not for itself. That is Adonai which makes it. But Adonai whenever makes, Adonai sees where is the victim and where is the victimarious criminal. So suddenly, at the point of this, Adonai established the right, clear thing. You made them wrong, alright, let's try to rescue you. And you're responsible, conscious about what you do, I'm gonna give you what you deserve. So suddenly, on this point, this witches of hell, PREIN, CRUDO, CARNIVAL, CABRERA, pretending of, oh, because of you wished me bad, I am the anointed, I give it back, gotta go to you, because of that's the justice of Lord. You understand that? Haggis Podcast, Pinky, Whorehouse, Balcarce Street 50, Buenos Aires. Hi there, you Bejata Dishluta Matam. You watch me up also. https www. Los truquitos de la Pinky prostíbulo Argentina .int F5. Last key and cleaner my site, last split ISIS in New York. Just to putting up clear what I'm saying. Sorry. Okay. All right. The point that I were going through is exactly that the culture of Babylon delivers into the most of the corruption and the most of the nonsense misappropriation for manipulation for powers. Is the original sin root with much other. So suddenly the point of Babylon for this all, on the misappropriation, on the lies pretended to be truth, is exactly making the use of power to become the powerless and to making themselves what they says by the Lord. I'm going to explain you one thing, and this is to be careful. Like I was saying so long, spiritual is not for games, and spiritual is not for making trick and nothing like playing around. God, allow me please. Whenever the reality of this soul just came, all around, the ways of Adonai to come, it happened a very story that I already said, and it is exactly the right moment where everything turns in the history to become a chaos and to become in a possibility Adonai to extend arms. There happened like whenever Yeshua HaSaret Mashiach Elahachai comes around the earth, started to making a vech motivi leshmothefechateche etomalachninim shmethet. And in the middle of the reality, while tellers are guessing, saying, I said first, and it's saying what we say, it is say. Disgusting, Sodoma, still. He were making the building, the institution for the reality of the Adchelachachti Chaida and Shmothechim Me'echet. And whenever just started to making, there were a lot that were fighting against, there were a lot of confused, there were others in crisis, denying any possibility he to be the Mashiach, and trying to put him at the destruction and even death. And Adonai saw the war, and Adonai understood the victims and the ones in responsibility, like Erodia Hadeshmot. So suddenly, in the middle of this whole war, Yeshua, Adonai, just kept on and and while the ones to make in the war, he were carrying and watching for the ones in establishing orders for the reality of Isacheshochi and Machanim, not mercy, understanding Jediah making and understanding victim making. Then, at the reality of the soul, Adonai, Yeshua, Dechli Chachai Teshmechali, Yisraelin Shmonach Tedin Malak Chai Daram, went all around Ched Davosh Matradi Afechad Lemetayim Bish Ofechot Chanim Bish Enfim, and Lechtie Fesachi, keeping an order and delivering in the world. Fechmot Lesef Shachi Ba'archati Kemenechat Ashmosanim. Mesvetet. Then there were others which he used to saying, those that you see there that are preaching as man name who I am to the people. Don't you do nothing about making them apart. Just let them, because of those that comes to saying and recognizing me, Avinu, and listen to me, Avinu, with B-no-B, perfecti, sorry. Avinu, Adchet Chaita Chen Mach Melech Teshmahasim Elohim, will thrive at the reality of his name and the mine. And if anyone will ever klechot Rebes Mosachi, Avinu will rip away forever, like we suffer. So suddenly, the reality of this, one's at the reality of Adonai and others at the reality of Sodoma. So the I am first and I am the, and I'm gonna be, and with this we are called to everybody. You understand what I mean? Sorry. But this is exactly the picture and what this are for. So, at the point of people that suffers also inside of the city, still we have too much and this is not nice. Like Lot. Well, the points of the Blechti Mathachet, Yeshua forwarded, and whenever crossed by Rome, there were the empire ready to make an Nefech Machaliyah Fesachim, and what the empire saw were this one brings a very thing like we are interested. But the situation is, we don't want no problem because of whenever Jews rise, we have a riot of Ochmethech, Lives and Ashledi, and they have something like we don't want to deal with. For the reason of whenever law of Lechtechachi Doshmochi Israel Deshmothanan, we have problem all around. And we don't want to lose power. So suddenly they started dealing with the situation and they delivered the situation. And Pilato were in front of Yeshua. And when Yeshua saw Pilato and told him, "The truth I shall come in front of your reality now," which in Hebrew is Kaf lechmo ethot teshem tachatmin, Keifa 45 in Hebrew, Ishbet Nochali, and if you come at Keifa 43, there is a Teshmot Echalim. In English, as in Spanish, is Keifa 44, Betechmot Echalem. There is for the clear Tletimos Lechdebos Mothalechdim. There is not wrong, there is right, well made in. That is really good done, the job of the translation. The thing is like the hero at the Antich as Mathav has a very special Kat Metich Anish Mothem, Gat Lechot. And well, the morphology delivers in this word that I just said, At Lebechanat, but the translation is right perfect as well, for the reason of Efechim Noshkansim Bethef. Well, Avbetrani Mesesh Shabal Chatanim says to him, because of no authority and no power you will have, if there wouldn't be caved to you from above, that my Father bring me forth. So the condemnation you shall embrace and carry at the morphology is the most of the biggest destruction that this all in front of you calls for you to saluv mechat ishtechi. And in the middle of this all, Pilatus sees its reality, and Pilatus sees what it done, and put him under judgment. And Pilatus said, I cannot do this, and I'm not going to be the Blechotimi Satanasi. Pilatus were not stupid, but suddenly have done a worse real thing, and worse than any other. In the middle of this, just came the Bech Potrini Fechat Transkumach Chanim and tricked the Fechmathat. So there calls the people and says, I'm gonna ask you something. You say this one that I see innocent, putting apart, but also recognizing and understanding. He saw it. You say gotta be crucified. You say gotta be dead. Gotta be condemned and executed. But I don't see no cause in this one. But I am going to put a proof, the reality of you in front of this, that you come to me like a judge, for I do execute. Then I come and bring you one of your worstest ever criminals, and delivers Barabbas and Dashmor. Not only Barabbas, too. And Dashmor were a very rapist, a very kotlebech matanem, that used to eating people alive, and not for being Jewish. There is the Deshmos Hafenichim, and were not from Israel, but called Admonov Deshmove, used to be in the court of Herodia Bet Homanan, one of the Lushmofini from Ashbova, Ammon. Well, the reality of Entchem Efecho Mathalachinish Metefet Tochmat and Kabethle comes this too, and the people says, that is not ours for the Ammon one, but we shall forgive him. Nefech motredi enfesa batika malecha chashechilim, efecha motledi v'shechalecham, aspetika balecha onshmonech, defensim. And Pilatus hears that and says, okay, let me understand this. What do you rather I to release at the reality that your law comes in front of my responsibility for I to condemn? This too, or this innocent one that you destroyed? And the people says, Oteshke Jedechi Baraba Muslimi. You understand the term? Seluv Lechi Mestur Ishtechli Mestechenem. And the reality of this brought a very problem, for the reason of there were not Israel speaking. Whenever this happened, were the Tletimothenetrabe Etheshami, Erodia Bedochum Sevetom Manachat Ashmathi, what were upon the BLYTT Etheshmathi Israel time. And Erodia had a very clear Samanachat Ishmanachathat, Esbot Lanim, Metaptochet Ashmathanim, Esbot Inkatachat Ashmathanim, Medev, and he was surrounded of little Tian Manafti Efethachim Meteshmotaleti Vefenimafet. And not like Israel to be this, never were and won't be. The reality is other. Were accommodated by the same Roman Empire for the BLYTT never losing powers. Right, PREIN, CRUDO, CARNIVAL, CABRERA, Vatican. And I'm not saying Israel to be this now, please don't you misunderstand. Ask you please. Then, Fochlemetre videm feshofele kamase fechot kamase velinkash menachtiam fadaki. Koflechathinam pasfatim. And Yeshua goes through the Bechtovase Chadesh Mifini Chuchushichat Minim Chai Avlinim. Fechmotar Mishbodli Efachi Shmetar. The land, innocent, died for the whole of the cause of those which will ever accept him and accepted him, and taking with him the whole of the killed, and the reality of the Bertivash Malechtari heredity of Adam and Eve, Eva, Atlebechata of the ones of the Ishmani Abel Madar and Dishmani Edef Tanim, and Noachli and Menechtuan, and Eliah Moshe, Abraham, Atheche Ba'anti Shmani, Israel, Sion. Fotletri mefesesh modachli makes the vensovachlimad, and the blood chaychalech yadishmadi, immaculated saint, holy kadosh, innocent, seals. The tachimotari, the half-bloody, the bolt of the Bechamath Seol, the Dishmodachmani, Avis, Berti Bachmodachad, Nolum, Dishmothefenechti. And whenever that happened, the succeed of Hashem were already done. So the reality, he goes up and takes everything down. Comes the disaster and switches the whole of the environment of the world spiritually forever. Comes a very different, twisting thing that used to be, and everybody knows there is something went wrong. And Pilatus understands it. So starts to walk around, and there comes the word in Hebrew, Kaifa, at the 57, which there says, what have we done? And the wife of Pilatus saying, you have murdered an innocent, and we are not going to be forgiven. And he shows and says, what have we done? We got to do something immediately, because of the Kaiser is going to make a very disaster, and we are going to lose the powers of everyone in Fochleni, and Israel is going to be trampling us and putting us like a cliff massive. So suddenly comes a Fechmathadi and Spetlametzifechadi and says to the Bechmotish Mathechadi Roman, Medolech Hatoshmoati Betechoma Antafta Kechmut Yishmotima Atachadi Judias Bechmo Tashtishafi Chanudi Ane, and establish an order to saying, Saint Metis, at Bikomachtavo, and Shmedim, the mother that suffers for the loss of the one that ever loved and saint, innocent. Vesmotrem Shachim, and the people goes to crying together and establish the Beth Mothachim Taratnat, Ishmonech, Efechaletim Yosef. There is the word of the Vatican. Votem efencha dismot telechi batem fasmat anachim, oshlei anachida taf, fechodi maran sarat, et lemetrim eseveshocha and tamitia, sechulem. And in the middle of this hall, Diftia Motredim Fesecholim, which were called disciples, Shula de Chachaydi Motbina Chichai, Daim, Eslechem, Kefa, Church, and the others. Start the Megan the Chap. Brings the Ketlomech Tadi, comes the Ben Savachinin, Ashvatachtidia, Ruach Elohim, Unshmetecha, Me'en Tevet, Ga'ena. And they start a work. On Shlevet Chimachachat Masinim. With the whole of the Beth Yimesa Shachli and Penachachat. They didn't want to leave from Israel. And suddenly comes the Vechmotri Vesachachalechim, saying, I warned you, this were about a coming, please run to the Vechmadi. Go for the Vechnia for Vechnia Fotlingi Vesachachli. Deliver, which I'm going to handle this. In the middle of the reality, Vechomet Chenia Vesachli, Tishmathalenev, Aktenecha. Get the Chotish Mosechat. Kefa were working all around, and Spechmot Chanias to see the rest, and one by one persecuted to murder. Powers are not going to be lost. Right? PREIN CRUDO CARNIVAL ANACONDIA. Barricada. Tears earth. SODOMA. And in the middle of this solvent, Chamavechita Vedes Mosevelachni Kadep to Mosevechachim. Is Betchia Fesechalam. Starts the persecution in the whole of the territory of Entri Desevechat Esmothi, Chachim, Israel. And there comes the murder by execution for Etamot Hamate Chatosh Efohim. Because of they saw that the club Betchene was monachti. But a lot of people said no. Anyway, the letters were in the auction for the BLYTT Masech Matzavit, and in the Vektek Vekishkot Apnevochant Trein Betten in Kavit. Defensofisch Mot Anin. And at the Blo Intavesh Mot Chad Fanot, for the reason of the BLYTT Matzavit of Fortadish Master Bechonim Defining. Then happened with a Paudi Koechovashot, but Panot. That comes Shauloech Tamut Abnemit Dachshiati Chovav Shmonera. And forgive me the way I'm saying it. This is Al-Mlichi Ech Moshehenit Abnemina. And Tzachova Teshmosri, St. Paul, starts the persecuting of Lechamatri as executor of Paradise. But the Fechmadi Farashiakadich Teshmosanim, but not in Fechmatashmina. He were in that Deshluch be in Chasnovet, Genom, Ashlechet Richat Teshmosim. So suddenly, at Leochamati Vashmothechalanti, happens what happens in the middle of a persecution, trying to murder 20 persons, and 100 comes from Chatadi Chaydishmotiem, above, overhaul. Some bleffens van het Seveshachafensi. As Matrifen Seveshachli and he felt in floor never recruit Seveshmothanen, Ishmothalechi, and loses the whole Santa National. En zacht lievend gaat het tempeltje vergaat half de dag met best met die van Seth en Shlemit. Het legt meer, Adonai comes and saw it, that is Mothalachit and says, take him. Ifech Matri Seve Shachim Methalataf Ishmonach Haidangen. The whole Betramides in Botni Seferat. So suddenly, from here on, Gishbach Ledef Chati Hashem Betamfinu Makari and Fech Betash Matlat, speaking to the people and telling Gofech Makai Masani, this to not be the used to, but the reality you to do. This to be my command that you to come to execute whenever I say. Fokni medachri Bachem Efechat Nemesef Shochmut Vani Efechot Lereventin. Sorgem Efech Motradi Efesef Shochlian Bergantachat, Zioman. Shmedevelika Semeth Lavi, Chadesh Motri Venachatanim. Sledi Feshi. And whenever comes the Bech Motradi Pesachim, he meets Adonai face to face. And Adonai brings the reality of him and shows him its reality and what happens, and confronts its reality and makes him understand. Not an evangelic meeting of hocus pocus, I have the power. Let's bewitch powerful anointing to the making people realizing and catalyzing the how is this curse of within heal. And forgive me victims and innocents, but Adonai is not that. Even at the worst of the realities we go through, that is not exactly what Adonai said to be. So the reality of this delivers into Paul understands Adonai is. Paul gets the reality is Hashem. Paul gets what happens to him and what Adonai is asking for. And Paul sees and tells, I know now what were happening. What shall I do to fix the situation, to solve this whole mess I've done in my past? And whenever he says that, Yeshua comes. And there says, and we're like a vech motrides in a shefechatim kosmanach ledevash motanim. Like if from its eyes will ever fall the blech ones of crystals in beshmotarech miafechenem. Not like a fish or snake and frog to eat. Crystals. And suddenly came the Bech no vast met gedief vesash met vechat pitmin. Of lefty bechot masadesh of achit to matalaman kichnevet. As lefty efechat, he comes back, but with a reality which had to be carried. And understanding what to do and what not. Understanding law. Gets the point and starts to receiving the right teachings of Yeshua. But before enough time money and from there on, everyone still watching him like this is gonna chant any time and we're going to be all dead. So just watch him and be careful. So he started work, and whenever they started seeing that he became in a very RUACH ELOHIM and whenever he prayed, people used to receiving the RUACH ELOHIM in some different states, and also from there, miracle. They said, okay, living in the hands of Hashem, Adonai is going to do the job. So he starts to working all over. And at the delivers his reality over not testimony, the reality of Adonai to the people. And whenever telling the real testimony, he used to be renewed about the telling what about his life, for the reason it is my privacy with Hashem and Hashem with me. So the reality of Etchem giving the teaching and the understanding and the parable and the bless of God and the testimony and Chatlofto al Nefa Chorev all over. comes with entreti van sefes mothech minim, and comes to Rome. Whenever it gets inside Rome, sees the hole that we're done and says, and whenever it starts to working, people approaches from the Beth Masachet, and he makes the Roman charge. And whenever the Roman church is funded, he established the ways to make him, saying, you shall not do like them, seeking for the domain of the power, seeking for the way to take him from God himself and deliver him to the throne of Chafim. The name is Yeshua, and he is Mashiach HaChai. And he says in and starts to working with them, and people starts to come in because of they see his power and miracle and wonder, and they starts to and starts to feel different. People running from the affliction, from the problem, from the pain, but not watching the reality of God, but watching that they will be better. So suddenly he says this and starts to telling them, don't you lose your horizon. See for the reality that God came not for you to feel better, but you for being with him, and for you to understanding what is your point and who you are in front of him and who you should be. So the reality of this delivers into starts to making a very cradle of this gospel thing. Power. And whenever this happens, Paul comes and says, what have I told you? Don't you understand what I'm telling to you? This is not exactly what I came to giving you, and God himself to say, you shall do. This is not what Adonai is. And in the middle of this all comes this ones that you shall be the one to respect us. You were the one to told us. We were put it by the God himself for the making this and for we to understand, and we know who God is. You shall not come to us and you gotta respect us to telling us about we don't know what we're doing and we are not doing the right thing. We know who God is. This is in Tarsia 20. And whenever this comes and happens, he sees and tells them, to truth I tell you, this is something I won't regret, for the reason of the whole of mine and everyone at the real Mashiach are persecuted for murder all over the world that I see. But the reason of this is going to be the ones for high Adonai shall take, and the ones for the Sech Bodach Minim and Sisho Ba'atach Nahim Shadim Adonai shall put there. Vechmotchem Evangelics Mochanim Intomel Chanechadav. I'm going to reach out mine from you, and you shall know what is justice when my time to come. Because of he is the judge of the Roman judge in heaven. And I am, which Adonai says, I will be. Not this. So, Vechmot Reben Fichmot Teshmas Sachelim Betenfoch Meshachat Talim Metachim. And Vechmot Chanifes Sechel Shoreat Oltchem Menechati von Shmenechad. But I'm telling you, Adonai knows and knows clearly my reality and when my time to come, what I shall do also with this class. So, and in the middle of the reality happens that this starts to make me riot and do you remember the word Telim 37. ashbech mochanim, whenever it says, Geloch divan trech motheresh motriecha bedlo paecha ba'ash motainech. At lecha timot tevechod nashim letumel ka'eroch. Hoed chadash mofech charet. Adlu chari kricha pomo nenot. Und lech mot chari ampach mochu shmonslu gecht moensi. At lecha timot tevechod kochti vashmontana. Gertli tamet chafiyot tamashkit bok mikrash tiko ba'anim velech anefter. Getrop dimovecha dimotanish monenech movetaraki krachibot. An larevechita metoi kanin chadosh midi. Emmen chochi. Bekuba etamat echo mashei. Gelochibati korme anak. Elecho vechniki. Seshpotre kachin korme avlem. Im bechoti matash manachtirina. Vechuba anak. Shlachim. And that word from the house of God. Adonai were them and earth. And we're saying this is what's going to be. So, Melech David Babich Hachichai Bashmathim. Das Vechad Chemefechot Espetlarish Vechot Madati. El Chocher Betecha Deshmuthim. Aldre Mechat Imechat Deshmuthim. In Lechnimit Sarashmoth Lechat. Then goes Levech. Metrodifa Semesh Shofechat Chamechanim. In Fechmothim. Apologize. Mama. Sorry. Bethech Motra Bidat Sefer Chachim, Masefet Muma Nefesh Chachim. Otre Bethech Hamelech Tikaverecha Chadesh Mothelechanim. Zetrot Tibech Boat Hamatliich Beshofonot, but en Kelchati Motasina Limonech NYNPH'S Beshot. So suddenly I were in very days telling from very long time what really it is about the spiritual. Whenever this about YESHUA happened, and the whole PREMEDITED Betachino and Echela Teshefet Monechecha Tachai Ishmuthim Kemen BLYTT Foshmetechalat Tachanim Zetrofech Mutavel Shefechot Manechachani Shemeneta Ingotret Tachalchimish Echenesim. And the reality of this is that Mochiyeh Fesishechalchai Tachachai Dimotenat Nehem Samalachim Getletov and Kach Morcha Atashmath. So in the middle of the soul, Adonai taken away, the whole stolen, profaned, the whole Techten Dashmani. And suddenly, Ev Pelechotcha Tishmothenechat Molatien. Jedaiah had nothing else about Adam Blood, Ba'an Kochtivot Shumim Nebel, Kiet Omach Ninef Bishki, Adnimu Kikov Ishnether. At Litamaki Fochot Ismathalem. And whenever that happened, it's exactly Pensimosefechosafina. Then, Bet Inka Vetanfele Pensimati. Beshkobachim et Chavesa Mathmativa, Shmethachat, Atlenio of Echat, Shmethi. Ziti Botli, Kachosh, Yanatimo Atach, Dalam, Baantaki. Then, Ferach Tibotcha, Tishmotharichat, Hanofelebit Ishmonachat, Inkatableki, Cheshofti. Adonai is not a bloody Bentchalim of Fetelach, Motharadanika. Then, here comes the days where this one insists in gotta be cancelled. What the hell does? So if there is something cancelled, there's because of its law. And if there is law, there's authority. And what authority has a demon? Jediah, whenever Yeshua said, you are nothing, and you nothing shall be forever. What is the authority of witchcraft? What is the authority? The manipulation to try to make it approved by the saying, I can sell what is not for consent. I said, you are nothing, I improve you. You're away. You're nothing. There's nothing to cancel. There's to destroy, break in pieces, and say, you are nothing. You shall not have, you had not authority ever. And in the middle of this all, we're making a very kotlemetani, and we're heard all around. Evangelic brought the DC revival, revival, revival. And do you know what it means, this revival? Exactly this. People is getting in the witchcraft of Sodoma worldwide. And the putting the trample with the powery makes like if people will be dead and feeling and having and thinking. And ain't nothing of God. Grand whore is embracing whole abomination within, and within the whole people that they select, for they're just saying, those are with the criminal that's supposed to be Hashem, Yahweh, Yeshua, RUACH, ELOHIM, and Menorah, Eliah, and Moshe. And you know what I mean. Are delivered into massive rape and murder, and saying, take them all off and give to me because of God given us. So Israel, don't you let them cheat you. Adonai is nothing like this. And also telling, I shall take all authority of yours away to me. If I have authority, I'm nothing like a demon. But they pretend to be of God, profaning what is of God, like them, and taking Christito, destroy the victims and innocents, which it means the taken from God to being self-empire, self-powery, self-otchanechani, I, the divine, original sin, powery, to become like God. You shall not die. And in the middle of the the misappropriation and the genocide worldwide, Adonai taking it and Adonai saying not to the ones that says no himself. And that's what but Ankedachi. Mashiach is not Christ. And Christ, it doesn't mean Mashiach. And suddenly comes to saying that the devil making umbanda can bring down the Chaychalechen. And I shall tell you, where Chaychalechen is profaned and put it where Adonai lauded and condemned, condemnation to the one that put it, saving the victims. Sehlá. And Adonai said, I shall be the one to says what is done about my kingdom, and not this. Unless Sodoma, unless one that says but this, we were put at by God, because of we shall be government. I'm going to tell you one thing. God never put at abominations like a government, and God were ripping out. But the abomination insisted in genocide, for they to remain, and they to be, we shall be like God. So, what devil can bring God down? Oh yes, no doubt, Sodoma. You say you will. https www. Los delirios de Sodoma, Argentina, pretendidos de poder con un pedazo de excremento de carne llamado falosodomita, con uniforme pretendido de gobierno y título de poder. Point .int, F9, just like before. And in the middle of this all, another thing. While this all saying that Ingo de Hot and a friend for the masculine seven if a shafechat genitalemeti, fegeniti, a femini, and spotlametecha givon telenit hanifesef. גבשוך מתחילים ממנה. ישמור תלנכתי. Profanes the things of God and uses it. What its bodies that goes raping all around. My people, our people. And saying that I sent them to do. And I am the author of that. That the generation does, and pardon for the victims manipulated, but the same responsibles even. At the thing of the conceive this abomination for the destroying me, for they are saying that they will bring the salvation and making accomplish the work that they says is Lord's. The misappropriation, adultery of the genocide of the Grand War. No further, nothing further for me. Sorry. Forgive me, please. My mother. אספך מותחדים פסיבי שוף אחד תמלכני מותחדים כופר אחד נשמתים. גלתכם הפך ישמתך חלאים על התקיע, תשמניו. הפכתכם הפך לשרבים תיקם. What them bodies Sodoma raping from inside them brothers and helping the outside ones. Massively raping and murdering and destroying, saying that they are going to be saved and we go to hell. Krenhor, servants of hell, Babylon, the worst of the abominations. While Adonai told them, demons you won in my holy, demons I shall make you be. Demons you won in my holy to suffer, demons shall eat you. And that's the way it's going to be, Shalom. And for the name of Yeshua is stamped forever. So suddenly, while whole nights, while sleeping and every day, Sodoma, Ejército Argentina and Armada Argentina, and the generations ADD and Kirchners, all, presidents, pedophilics degenerates and all associated, officialism Argentina, makes the witchcraft, the profanative witchcraft, saying they are going to be me and doing what I do. And accepting me, and I shall be what they says they are. And Sodoma grand whore, evangelics, saying that the law of the Lord is for I curse them, saying that Lord wants to save them. I shall be what I curse them out of, which they shall be forever in the name of Yeshua. Shalom. Making the hocus pocus, Otlemet Hanefenchad, black and witch, and Bechmat white and witch, that Melechem. So what shall this be? I'm giving you Torah. Beratich mot enshmot tefechotika ba'anshmonichet dechev. Torah. Galtrachti goemet cheposhpot en kofrecho dima anchat nishmathi. Torah. Al dratiko machatiko machane veshmoterecho tima achatush ma'afot. Torah. Lerotiko machachat veshmoa tachim ma'antiki menachichit ishmefi. Torah. Al trenimot chevet ishmot echel chavi shoot noti kaem. Torah. Al remetofen echad ishmot echechot imanim. Torah limishki. Torah abdavach. Torah liminechani yeshvovet. Nahama. Torah al terechachim, Talmud motuv imichim, al bochmot, Talmud ad berech tochechohem, insh moichinim be'emcha, shemot ametchanet, imnicha atche chorfiv. Yeshua lo, keifa eshmochotika, avchabibni, en shmonuchi, da alechot, ashmonecha, nishech, aviv. Yeshua lo, adchanot, matashka cheruch ini, lechut and chani. Yeshua lo, armageddon, lachnimo chaotovati, anshke lachdot shnefechet. Chechomi, ashmesef. Elechobach, Yeshua lo, inkach mo atash sedech divit aneli ketech dimitikim, achichimi iniot. Al metrichat ashminichiki, Gimotchene benech tobakika, הנכחות. 8. Salah. https://www. When my tears to touch my creation's floors, and all under as above shall know, I said no more. Point 90. F20 for the clitrial, which will be F4, and thirdly the regular systems. Always recall like before. Alejandro Mario Blanco Rodemi from Buenos Aires, my address. 10:44 a.m. at this July 1st, 2014. Salah. You got it, Joanna.